Min Yoongi's ideal partner in life should have a very high sex drive and be very intuitive. Good. Hello, my name is Pisces Palmist. Please do subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. I have a whole playlist on BTS, tarot, and palm readings. In this video, I'm going to be revealing all that we can see from Min Yoongi's hands in order to really determine the compatibility signs and who would make his ideal partner. This video, I'm going to be looking at compatibility and incompatibility signs in his hand. And I can tell you straight away that if you have a hand type that looks something like this, or a combination of the two, then you are much more likely to be compatible with someone like Min Yoongi. Now, this is an intuitive hand type, the hand a lot like Taehyung V from BTS. His hands are a lot like this. They are long palm, long fingers. They taper into a gentle, fine point. They have a very gentle appearance. And the reason why I feel that this would make a strong match, a good match, and also Min Yoongi would find an intuitive type attractive is because actually intuitive hands are always attractive people, for one. But the other reason is because of Min Yoongi's communication style, shall we say. There are some barriers there, and an intuitive type is actually very able to pick up on thoughts and feelings and kind of break through those barriers. If you are someone who is incredibly instinctive to the point where you are intuitive, perceptive, and you can sense and pick up on what people are thinking and feeling, you are someone who is compatible with Min Yoongi in this way because your communication style would gel, would work. Now, the other example I have here is an analytical hand. RM has an analytical hand type, and they are extremely capable in terms of they're highly emotionally intelligent, as well as emotionally articulate. And these things would really help, again, with those communication barriers. But also, the analytical hand really works well with someone who is as energetic as we see here, as practical and as energetic. And certainly on the physical demand level, the analytical hand is more compatible because there's a greater sex drive and an ability to fulfill that as well. Min Yoongi certainly has. His love language is strongest in terms of acts of service. Now, if you've watched my palm reading on Min Yoongi, on Suga, I explained all of this already. He's all about showing up, effort, providing practical solutions to problems. This is in this way he shows he cares. Now, that's not to say that he's not capable of physical affection, because, as I say, he's got a strong sex drive. He's certainly able to provide that quality time as well. But words of affirmation are not his strong suit. And I say this partly because, again, of the communication barrier we see here. It's not to say that he's not able to and not verbally expressive. I suspect he's actually very persuasive and actually quite gifted with his words, but there's an inability to maintain that truth. So if you're someone who is not able to forgive, who is in need of words of affirmation, if that is a need in terms of your love language, then there's going to be an issue here. Analytical hands and intuitive hands are very supportive, very intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and in particular, the analytical hand, emotionally articulate. Some of the traits that Min Yoongi really requires are very watery. He would really find attractive in a partner fluidity, flexibility, adaptability, creativeness, artistic people, intuitive people, actually very kind of psychic people. Someone like Taehyung, someone like this intuitive hand right here, he would find someone like this very attractive. All of the qualities that they give off, their energy, very attractive. Now, on a practical level, the analytical hand type is also very desirable. Now, again, if you've watched my palm reading video on Sugar, you will know that he has an inferiority complex and he cares greatly about what others think about him. He has a very long Apollo finger and an exceptional love of all things beautiful. I did make quite a big point about him being quite intense in wanting to look good, and I've kind of changed my mind about that a little bit. It's not so much about that, it's more about appreciation for natural beauty, which again, when we see Mercury leading in towards this, it shows, that's his expression. That's his form of expression is through that physical form of expression towards all things that are naturally beautiful. So if you are a naturally beautiful person, he's going to gravitate towards you. But more than that, if you appreciate nature, that's something he's going to find attractive. And because of the length of Apollo here, his idea, his thoughts about what others think about him is really important to him. He cares what other people think. So if you're someone who doesn't care what people think, he's going to appreciate that because that's not something that he's so good at. And he admires people who are just able to walk around, wear what they want, not care what they say. These are things that he finds attractive in others. So if that's you, then you are much more compatible. And also, the short Jupiter finger, this inferiority complex, he really requires someone who is supportive, like the analytical hand, who is emotionally giving and understanding, like both the intuitive and the analytical hand types. So if you have a heart line that curves wonderfully upwards in between preferably Saturn and Jupiter like this, then actually this is a fairly ideal kind of example of a love language that is compatible with sugar. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of hand types that are not compatible with Min Yoongi. And now the one on the left here is an intellectual hand type. This is known as the philosophic hand here. And you can see that it's quite sort of gaunt. It's taut. The skin is very taut. The mounts of the hand are not so well developed. The Venus mount is not as well developed. There aren't those kinds of physical desires that are going to get on well with Min Yoongi, and there's a kind of a yellow sort of jaundice appearance. The fingers are extremely thin. Now there are some intuitive elements about this hand, but it is too it's too much in the mind. And it's not physical enough, and that's not going to get off a good energy. This is someone who is very critical and judgmental of others' natures. And this is not a compatibility factor. It's not gonna work. The heart line as well, it doesn't really quite rise up enough. What we want to see is a headline that is, you know, has a nice curvature as well, not like this. This isn't showing enough flexibility, enough creativity and adaptability, fluidity, imaginative thinking. These are all very watery elements, and this is exactly what Min Yoongi is going to find attractive. This here is not, unfortunately. Now, the other example I want to show you is what I refer to, and David Brandon Jones, my mentor's mentor, as a dynamic hand. Now, this is much more commonly seen in the hands of women. Now notice the triangular shape to the palm, and the Jupiter mount is often higher set than the rest, and the rest of the fingers slope down quite sort of drastically, creating this kind of triangular effect of the hand. And Mercury kind of hangs over the side here. The thumb is fairly high set, quite strong, creating not quite the angle that we want to see. We want to see a 90-degree angle, ideally. The hand isn't long enough. The fingers are, but the hand itself isn't in conjunction. So what we have is a dynamic hand. Now, this is someone who's a workaholic. They throw themselves into work. They often have an inability to emotionally articulate and understand their own feelings, and they don't listen to their own bodies. This is there are some wonderful traits about both of these hand types. There are always pros and cons. Unfortunately, these two hand types just don't get on well with someone like Min Yoongi. They're not going to be compatible with Sugar. Sugar needs someone who isn't going to criticize him. He has an inferiority complex. He's already constantly criticizing himself. If someone shows up and they're also kind of nitpicking at him a little bit, just like an intellectual hand would, and this is why we've got this kind of wasting of the second phalanx of Apollo, that's always a nitpicker. JK is a nitpicker in BTS. And he is himself. He's already his own worst critic. He doesn't need someone else that's going to show up and do that as well. That's two voices essentially that are attacking him, and he is one of those. He needs someone who is supportive, who's going to kind of actually ignore the negative aspects about him, his inability to maintain the truth, his hiding of the facts, because that's something that he does. He needs someone who's forgiving of these aspects of himself and is supportive of the positive aspects of himself. He needs someone who's going to match his energy. He has a tremendous amount of physical energy, and he needs someone who's really going to match that physical force. So, in truth, the perfect ideal partner for Min Yoongi is someone who has a combination of both the intuitive hand here and the analytical hand type here. If you want to know more about these hand types, please do check out my blog, The 12 Hand Types in Palmistry. Alternatively, you can join as a member and watch my video on this. Now, just like in both these examples, in fact, you've got the lifeline here and it breaks away from the headline, and it does it, they're not joined for such an extreme amount of time. Whereas, actually, it looks like we've got a tiny gap here, but it's hard to see. And actually, that is something that I think that Min Yoongi would find attractive as well. A small gap in between the lifeline and the headline. If not, that's okay. Also, something a lot like what we see on both of these hands here, where the lifeline, um, you know, separates from the headline at a reasonable time in life, around about the age of 20. If the life and the headline are joined for, underneath the gap here between the first and second finger, if we see it kind of around here, that's real cautiousness, hesitancy, a conservativeness that isn't going to really bode well in a relationship. So essentially, the less those two lines are joined, the sooner they move away from each other, better in terms of compatibility. However, that said, we don't want to be seeing too large a gap in between these two, like we see on this dynamic hand here, because this is someone who's remarkably independent, remarkably a radical thinker, but they're also very impatient. And if they're too independent, then all of this act of service, Min Yoongi's love language, isn't going to be received, and he needs someone who's actually very able to receive that. So it's not that you can't be independent, but he needs to feel as though his love language is heard, received. As well as that, he's probably not going to get on well with someone who's too impatient, who's too brash. Is physical touch your love language? Are you okay with not having words of affirmation so much as your love language? Do you have a good sex drive? Do you have a strong physical energy? Can you match that energy that we see in Min Yoongi's hands? Do you enjoy being supported by someone who enjoys acting through showing up, through solving your problems, through really helping you out? This is how he really commits in relationships and how he shows he cares and loves. If you're someone who's highly sentimental, this is not so much a good match. Are you artistic and creative, intuitive, a little bit psychic even? If so, these are highly attractive qualities Min Yoongi is likely to find very appealing. Are you emotionally intelligent, and articulate. And actually, a big one is, are you able to forgive and really look past someone who is at times withholding the truth and compensating for his feeling of inadequacy by potentially compensating for with physical desires, satiating those physical needs with drinking, um, sex, or even other physical activities, like just hitting the gym really hard. Are you someone who is truly flexible? Are you supportive? And actually, a big one, are you someone who just doesn't care what other people think? If so, you are highly compatible with Min Yoongi or someone very much like him. And as I say, if you have a hand like this or like this in particular, a combination of the two, so a kind of a rectangular palm with very gentle kind of tapering fingers that are long, then you are certainly someone who is compatible with Min Yoongi. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do subscribe and consider becoming a member. Please do check out my BTS tarot and palm reading playlist. I am releasing videos every Sunday. I read the palms of high profile celebrities every single Sunday, and if you subscribe, you can check it out every week. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts and comments. Drop them below, and I shall see you on the next video. Bye bye.